Today we will be making a USA map inspired by the artist Jasper Johns. This is what it will look like. For this project, we will be using some scissors and some tape. We have a map of the United States. I printed this out on 11 by 17 paper, and then I have a large piece of white construction paper. I will also be using paint for this project. I recommend watercolor or tempera paint, maybe even watered down a little bit. I have a nice thick brush I'm going to be using, and I'm going to get my brush wet with some water and start adding some paint to my paper. Now all of the lines that I'm adding are horizontal or vertical lines, and I'm starting with the color yellow because it's the lightest of the three primary colors. For this project, we'll only be using the primary colors red, yellow, and blue. And I want this first layer of my painting to be very light because then it will make the map stand out later when we add the second layer of the painting. So I'm going around my paper and I'm using horizontal brush strokes and vertical brush strokes all around the picture. And it doesn't matter if they touch each other or not, but I'm really trying to fill my picture with a lot of the yellow because it's light. My second coat will be more of the blue because it's darker. I'm going around and just making sure that my page is nice and filled. Rinsing out my brush now, and I'm going to switch to my red. The red is the same step, so I'm just adding horizontal and vertical brush strokes. And notice the brush I'm using is a square brush, so it will give me nice kind of rectangular shapes. This works a lot better than like a rounded brush. That would not give us such nice rectangle shapes. So using a flat brush that has kind of a square end is great for this project. I'm going through and filling up my paper with a bunch of the red now, keeping it nice and light. Using horizontal and vertical brush strokes. Horizontal meaning side to side, vertical meaning up and down. Rinsing out my red, and now I will do the same with my blue, keeping it nice and light. Going through and filling my paper with more horizontal and vertical blue brush strokes. At this point, I am trying to get most of the white areas of the paper. If I leave a white spot here or there, it's okay, but I do want the majority of my paper to be nice and painted so that I have no white spots left, ideally, or if I do, they're really small. I'm really paying attention to my vertical and horizontal brush strokes again, so it looks like kind of a lot of rectangles on my page. Now, if I don't get the entire paper covered this round, I am going to be adding a layer of paint. So when I add that layer, it is possible to do that. All right, letting it dry. While that is drying, I'm going to cut out my map. Now, this map is pretty detailed outline, and I don't really need all of those itty bitty little details. I just need the kind of the basic shape of the United States. So as you can see, I am not cutting like right up next to it, but just kind of close to it, and that should be okay. I got this map off of Google by just searching USA map outline. And then I added it to a document where I blew it up into a larger size and then printed it off on 11 by 17 paper. You could do this in a smaller size, but I just wanted to make sure that I was able to get, enough of the details, and the larger size makes that a little bit easier. So I'm getting close to the edge, but I'm not worrying about all of the little detailed areas of the map. It doesn't have to be a perfect cut, just close enough so you can get the shape of USA. And granted, these are the lower 50 states. If you wanted to add Hawaii and Alaska in there, you could do that as well. I am finishing my cutting here while my paint is drying. The paint would probably take a good 30 minutes to dry, so you may have to go into something else before you come back and paint the second part of this project. All right, I have my map all cut out, and now it is ready to add to my picture. Okay, my first layer of paint is dry, so now I'm going to take my tape and I'm going to roll 2 pieces of tape and connect them to the back of my map. So I'll roll them up and stick them to the back of my map. Now this actually would be a great project that you could do with your own state as well, your own state shape. We'll do the whole 50 states, well, the lower 48 that is. All right, I taped my map to the middle of my paper, and that way it won't move when I'm adding my next layer of paint. If you need to, you can kind of use your fingers to hold it in place too. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on my map with blue. And notice I'm putting my brush on the map and then pulling it away from the map so that paint doesn't seep underneath my map outline. And I'm trying to go around my map right on the edge and then on to the other part of my painting. And I'm going around with a lot of blue because that's my darkest, and it'll really help my map stand out. So you could almost do the entire outline with some blue paint first. You can leave a couple spots for red and yellow. And then I'm also going to add some of this dark blue paint around some other areas of my painting. Now you don't have to cover up everything on the rest of the painting. You can leave some of those light colors showing through, but I do want to add a lot of dark colors to my outside edges of my painting as well. So I'm just going through and adding my blue, this time working from dark to light. And on my palette, I actually have 2 shades of blue, so my first layer was actually using a lighter blue, and then I have this darker blue as well. If you only have 1 shade, you can make a darker blue by using less water. So if you use a little bit more paint and less water, that will be a little bit darker for you. I'm going to clean my brush out, and I'm switching to red now, so my middle color here. I'm going around the edges of my map to make sure that all of those edges are nice and filled in with the dark colors. Always starting on the map and then working out towards the edges of the paper so that the paint doesn't seep under those lines. And then once I've gone around all of the edges of my map, I'm going to add a little bit of the darker red to the outline of my picture, or the outside edges. Again, I'm working in horizontal and vertical brush strokes with my flat brush. Next, I am rinsing out my brush, and I'm going to add my final coat of my darker yellow. So any spots around the map that I didn't touch with red or blue, I would touch with yellow. There shouldn't be too many because I really wanted to cover the edges with the dark colors, but I am just going to make sure that all of the edges of my map are filled in with paint. So I'm going all the way around those edges to make sure that every section has a darker color on the edge. And then of course I'm throwing those darker shades of yellow on the outside of my map as well, all the way around my painting. And again, I'm using horizontal and vertical brush strokes. I'm still letting some of the lighter yellow show through, but now I've got the majority of the paper covered. I can peel off my map to check to see if it is showing through. And there you have it. My map is visible. Looks so lovely off of the background, and that is the finished product. You can add it to construction paper if you want for a nice border. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this project. We'll see you again soon.